on a disk floating through space with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE, welcome back to the channel that does to stupidity what a small spark did to the Hindenburg. You know what you're here for. It is time for another debate about the shape of our world, gravity, and all that wonderful good stuff. We have Bobby Murray returning from last week, this time not driving, and this time I'm going to try and not be so shouty, so that should be fun. Bobby, hello, welcome back to the channel. How are you doing?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Thanks very much for joining us. Do appreciate you taking the time. So, do you just want to introduce yourself to people who didn't see you last week, and let people know what your position is on the shape of the world and what you'd like to discuss today?
I mean, really the topic is open, so, I mean, I'd like to touch on a few topics. But, yeah, man, I mean, you know, just flat earth stuff. Been here for a minute, you know.
Do you have a YouTube channel or anything, or do you just talk on Facebook and stuff?
Nah, I just got a couple groups on Facebook. We just chat, just trying to talk to like-minded people. Like I said, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind, change anybody's opinion, but I do like to try to like defend myself over like blatant slander and stuff like that, because the misconception of the flat earthers, you know, all that's what really like just aggravates me, and that's why I like to respond and talk about it. It's not to change anybody's mind, but like I said, in self-defense, a lot of the misconceptions are pretty silly.
Okay, so. No worries. People are saying my audio is peaking, so I'm just trying to sort that out. Bear with me.
Yeah.
Testing. Let me know how that is, guys. Does it sound okay to you, Bobby?
Yeah, I hear you good.
All right, guys. I've adjusted it. Should be. It doesn't show that it's peaking, so it should sound better. Okay, so you obviously think the Earth is flat. What's your main reason for thinking the Earth is flat?
I mean, I'll just go down like when I first got into it. Like I said, everybody talks about, you know, it's like a stupid flat Earth. You know, it's not. It's ignorant. You know, we know the Earth is round, but just seeing and talking about it, man. And like I said, I've seen some of these videos where it just shows the sun up close, like the high altitude balloons, and you can just tell the sun is just so much closer than what they're telling us. It's literally like right there. You can see it, how close it is. You can see the shadows. You can see the rays. It just looks so much closer. And that's why the first thing that really got me asking questions.
Okay, but I mean, things don't always look exactly as they are. You know, our eyes aren't measuring tools.
I hear you.
The reason that it looks close is because it's so bloody big and it's in the frame of the picture. But we've measured the distance to the sun, Bobby. We've literally bounced radar off of the sun and seen how long that takes to go there and back. Not only that, but you know, whether you believe in NASA or not, you know, we've literally sent probes to inside the sun's coronosphere. You know, we've been there. We know the distance to the sun. We know that it's roughly 93 million miles away, and it's something that even school children have been able to figure out by using parallax measurements from the Mercury or Venus's transit across the sun. If you get two people at two different locations, both watch Mercury or Venus transit the sun, then you can use the different measurements you get from the two different locations to actually triangulate the distance to the sun. And that's something that is really easy to do and backs up everything that the official measurements give us. So whether it looks close in the photos or not, it's really not. It's really, really far away, but extremely big.
I mean, you can say that all day, but I'll just tell you, like, common reasoning, looking at it and seeing it, I can see for myself that it's actually how close it is. You don't have to go on a long equation with a bunch of numbers to explain to me, to tell me what I'm seeing is not right, and it's actually way further away. You know, that's like the biggest argument for globe earthers is refraction. Anytime you see anything, the magic word is either gravity or refraction. Common sense tells us what we see.
Well, again, common sense doesn't measure the distance to something, you know.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's the tangent of equations.
It's nothing to do with equations. It's empirical measurements. You know, it's the same as getting a ruler out and saying, oh, this thing is 34 centimeters long. We have physically, empirically measured the distance to the sun.
I I just don't see how you can accurately measure a celestial body like that. There's just
again. I did just say to you, we've literally bounced radar off of it. Radar propagates at the speed of light. Your microphone's gone a bit dodgy. Is there something happened to your audio there?
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a bit scratchy.
Yeah. Is it? Hold on. It's in headphones. There you go. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's okay. It was peaking a little bit. That's fine.
Are you sure? It might have been my damn beard too.
No, it might be your beard scraping against it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a magnificent beard.
I appreciate it.
But yeah,
like I said,
empirical measurements. Let's talk about the radar, for instance. Radar is something that is used all around the world in many different industries. And we can literally use it to measure the distance to things, because we know that radar propagates at the speed of light, and that allows us to see how far away things are by how fast the signal gets there and then is reflected back to us. And in the 60s, they literally did an experiment bouncing radar off of the sun, and it matched the measurements that we've been told. It matched what you can calculate yourself just by watching the transit of Mercury or Venus. So this isn't something that is just made up with equations. It's something that's been empirically done.
Yeah, but they used to do the same thing, and they came up with the ionosphere. They just made it up. I'm just telling you, that's what you talk about with ham radios. They're like, well, you can bounce a signal because the signals are going way further than they should on a spherical Earth.
Your mic. Sorry, it's really scratchy. I don't know what's going on with it.
Yeah. I was saying that they just invented the ionosphere to say that they were able to bounce ham radio waves off of it. Because you're able to send waves further than you should be able to on a ball. You know what I'm saying?
You're saying they made up the ionosphere?
Yeah, you made it that way. You can be able to have.
You can measure the ionosphere that it's there.
Sure.
I mean, it's not something that's made up. Again, it's an empirical thing that has been tested and verified that exists, and existed long before ham radios did. And the ionospheric bounce is a well-known method of extending the range of ham radios, but still has its limitations, of course. I don't know why you say the ionosphere was made up. What's made up about it?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, you're able to send ham radios and signals and stuff a lot further than you should be able to on a ball. So they came up with the ionosphere, saying that you're able to bounce radars and ham radio waves and stuff off of it. So, like I said, I'd have to find it. It's been
okay. I mean, the ionosphere definitely exists, but that's all irrelevant to measuring the straight line distance to the sun. And
what about?
There's no bouncing involved. Yeah. We know how fast radar travels. At 300,000 kilometers per second, 180,000 miles per second, if you want. We know that that's how fast radar travels. So if the radar takes, 16 minutes to return a signal to us, we know that means it's taken roughly 8 minutes for the signal to get to the sun, and then a further 8 minutes for the signal to get back to us. And then you can take that time and use the fact that we know the speed of light and calculate a distance. It's a very simple thing. It's literally an empirical measurement. It's nothing's made up, and the only way that anyone could disprove it is to try and do the experiment themselves.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you want to, how do you want to do it though? What do you want to have a conversation about? Because if you just want to just about numbers though, then we're not really going to be able to have a conversation.
Well, I mean, I'm not just about numbers. I can show you the the scientific
I hear
papers
you that
behind
you can show me
what I
that
say.
we can bounce a radar. Well, what happens to when they do?
Your mic is I don't know why it's really, really scratchy.
All right, let me cut it off and cut it back on and see if that helps.
It might be good. Sorry guys, just trying to get the audio sorted.
Can you hear me out like this?
Yeah, that sounds a bit better.
I gotta put it on speaker though. Hold on. Okay, you put it on speaker. Mute. More.
Oh. Okay. Well, apparently people in the chat are saying the mic sounds fine. It was just me that was sounding weird for. So it's fixed now.
Well, what about that? That's just on my phone instead of in
I mean,
my
that sounds
headphone.
perfect to me. So I hope that sounds all right to everyone else as well, as long as you can hear me as
Okay.
well. Right. So, well, like you said, when I asked you what your biggest evidence for the Earth being flat is, you said, well, that the sun looks close. But the fact is,
Yeah.
we can literally measure the distance to it. So whether it looks close or not is irrelevant because we have empirical measurements.
I just have a hard time being able to measure like a celestial body like that, let alone measuring the size and the distance. Because like, I mean, how are you going to bounce it back? You know what I'm saying? You're going to bounce it off the sun.
Yeah, the sun is plasma. It's
And
a
how
physical
hot?
thing.
And the sun's plasma, so we can shoot a ray from here and just bounce it back. And how far away is it? How long does it take to get here? There's no dilution. It's not diluted at all. It's 100%.
Well, of course it's diluted. It's very diluted, but you can still trace the signal. It's going to be.
It's just so much that go. It's just so much to go into it to make it sound right. You know what I'm saying? It's just.
That's why scientists spent a long time performing the experiment to do just that.
So only a scientist can tell me how far it is from here to the sun by bouncing a radio wave off of it.
No,
right?
not just a scientist. No, any kind of school child that's measured the distance to the sun by looking at the parallax of the transit of Mercury or Venus across the sun. That's a very, very simple measurement to do. Very basic trigonometry, actually. Stuff that you literally learn in, the first few years of high school.
Okay.
I mean, these are things that can be physically demonstrated and repeated constantly.
It can't. Yeah, but you can't physically demonstrate it. Show me in reality where it is. Show me the laser bouncing off it. Show me the stopwatch showing how far it is.
Okay, the laser bouncing off it. You, if you want to see lasers bouncing off of things, that's very different to radar bouncing off of it. We don't have lasers bouncing off the sun. We have radar that we bounced off of the sun.
Okay, well, whichever one you want. Radar, my bad, sorry. Radio waves, sound waves, radar
and again,
waves.
I can present you the scientific papers that are peer reviewed and have been repeated by other people, and you can look at the methodology behind the experiments and repeat it yourself. You don't have to be a scientist to do an experiment. If you have the funding, I'm sure there's enough flat earthers in the world that you could get a few 100,000 together to get a radar satellite up there or something, But the fact is, this is something that's done empirically, and you can't just dismiss it. It's an actual measurement.
Okay. But whatever you want to say, it's empirical piece of paper, mathematical number equation that says it's so far away. But when I look up at it, I physically see with my own eyes how much closer it is. There's no freaking way that it's millions of miles away. I said it wouldn't even work. The angles of rays, you want to talk trigonometry or whatever you want to do, the rays that come in through the clouds, you can just see that the angle of the points it's way closer than what it should be.
Yeah, but you're talking about like crepuscular rays breaking through clouds, right?
Yeah, it's still it don't matter.
They don't triangulate to the position of the sun because that would put the sun literally in the clouds. That's just a perspective. The sun rays are actually reaching us parallel. Okay. We know they're reaching us parallel. I've got a video. If you give me a sec, Bobby. If you give me a sec.
Go ahead.
I've got a video that I can show you in a sec that shows that they are, parallel. And the fact that they are parallel shows that they're coming from a source that is very, very far away. The reason why, when you're looking at crepuscular rays, that it looks like they're pointing towards a single source is perspective. It's because you are looking at the source of that, of that break in the clouds. So the rays of light to you look like they're spreading out. But you can walk past crepuscular rays and watch them change angles. And also, if you were to triangulate those crepuscular rays from your perspective, it would show that the sun was literally just in the clouds, which would mean pilots would have to avoid it, which we know doesn't actually happen.
It's not just inside the clouds, but it's definitely a lot closer. Because, like I said, you can say that all day, man. But if it's perpendicular, dude, it's not going to have a point. It's just going to be from the whole side. It's going to light up the whole side. There's not going to be any points. There's not going to be any angles coming off of it.
Again, perspective would show that's what happens, right?
I'm just saying you can angulate it. You can triangulate it. You can look at it. You can look at the angles and literally see. It don't have to be just clouds. It's not only one cloud. If it was so much further, you would see other ones off to the side going different angles, but you don't. You only ever see it from one point coming down at angles like that. If it was just those clouds, you'd have – listen, look, hold on. Let me finish real quick. If it was just that set of clouds, every other set of clouds spaced out would all have it, and it would look like there's like 50 different suns in the sky all coming from one point. But you only ever see it coming from one location because that's where it's right at. It's right above point A, and the angles are coming out, or the rays are coming out at an angle.
Right. So again, those rays, the angles, it actually changes as you walk past it because it's just perspective.
Because it's right there. Because
let me get this video for you to see. One second.
Sit here and do videos because I can't send you videos. We're not going to.
Yeah, I can show you that. I can show you this video to help my point. So just bear with me 1 second, and I'll show you this video. Right. So here, as you can see, right, these shadows created by the sun look like they are pointing in all directions, right? Do you agree with that?
I can barely see it, but sure.
Let me zoom in a bit. Maybe that'll help. No. Oh, it's not making it bigger. It's making it worse. YouTube Shorts. All right, but as you raise in the drone, you see that it was only the perspective that made it look like they were pointing outwards. They're all actually parallel, all right? The fact that these rays here are, the shadows coming from the rays are parallel means that the sunlight is parallel. The rays from the sunlight are parallel, and it's coming from a source that's very, very far away. If you are right down looking at them, it looks like they're spread out, but they're not. It's just perspective. We know they're parallel because when you look at them from above like this, and it would be exactly the same with the clouds. If you were to look at it from a different angle, the rays coming from the clouds would actually look completely parallel, not spread out like they are here.
Can you pause that real quick and ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay,
so at what height do they become parallel?
It just depends on perspective. Once you get high enough, you can clearly see.
From this perspective of this drone, at what height do the lines become parallel?
I don't have the exact figures, but it looks about there that you can actually tell that they're parallel when you're high up enough to see the entire thing.
How far apart are those poles?
I don't know, they look a few meters.
So we're going to use this as evidence, and we don't have any anything behind it. We don't have height. We don't have distance. We don't have location. You know what I'm saying? We don't have altitude.
What we have is showing that the rays here, the shadows are clearly parallel. Do you agree that the shadows are parallel?
Sure, but can I ask you this though? Are they a foot apart? How far apart are they?
I just told you they look like they're a couple of meters.
That's what they look like though, right? You just said you can't tell with your eyes, right? So we can't be sure how far apart those bars are. Yeah.
Okay, but are the shadows coming from it parallel? Yes or no? That's the only thing that matters.
But see, I was asking a question. I'm trying to just tell you can't use this as evidence because those poles are way closer together than what you're seeing. That's like, what, a 10-foot spot, man. Those things are like a foot apart. Of course, they're going to look parallel eventually, but they're still looking at an angle because the way the sun's coming in, they're slanted.
So you agree that they look parallel?
Sure.
Right.
They look parallel.
And if they look parallel, when you are looking at the entirety of them, which you are here as the drone goes up, right, you can see that from this perspective, they are literally all pointing in the same direction. So if you were to get, a whole bunch of sticks and run it along them, they would all point in the same direction. But when you are closer, when you are looking at it from a different perspective, it doesn't look like that. And that is exactly the same with crepuscular rays. That does not allow you to triangulate the where the sun is coming from. It is just a case of perspective. Change your perspective and you will see a different thing. So
okay, well, let me tell you this though. There's a big difference though, because we're talking about rays that are coming from the sun. You're talking about the shadows that are being casted by the rays. There's a lot of things that go in that. There's the location of the poles, there's the distance, there's the angles of the poles, and then the angles of the light that's coming off of it. The rays that are coming out of the sun that look like they're coming to one point are coming straight off the light source. You're trying to tell me that it doesn't due to shadows that it's casting. So you can't really use
the shadows that are casting will be the same. If there's shadows being cast, they will be cast in the direction of the light. Hold on. If there's shadows being cast, they will be cast in the direction of the light rays. That's just a fact of how shadows work. So that means that if these shadows are parallel, which they are, that means that the light rays creating the shadows must also be parallel. which
Well, they must
are.
only also be parallel once you reach a certain altitude, though. Then, yeah, because they're not
No,
parallel.
they're always parallel. And as you can see,
But they're
they
not
are parallel.
parallel.
They
It's
don't
the shadow.
stop. Hold on, Bobby, one sec. They don't stop being parallel because you get closer. It just looks like they aren't parallel because of perspective. But they are always going to be pointing in the same direction as this video shows. That is what the light rays are causing the shadows to do. Meaning the light rays creating those shadows are also coming in parallel. That's impossible with a local light source.
No, dude, that's not that. Well, like I said, what you're doing, this is like trickery with the way the angle is. You're talking
Nothing's
about the angle
trickery.
and all this. It doesn't prove anything because it doesn't prove anything.
It
You're saying
literally
that
shows that the shadows are parallel.
they're only parallel once you reach a certain altitude. Though.
Once you are looking at the
altitude to be
entirety of
parallel?
them from an outside perspective and you can see them all, you can see that they are parallel. From this point, there is no denying that they are parallel.
Give
And
me
if
something
you,
that-
if,
give
and
me
if you
something
were
that's
to
like-
take
give me something
massive,
that's
if you were
longer.
to take, hold on, if you were to take massive poles and lie them along those shadows, no matter how close you got, it would still be parallel. Imagine a train track, okay? Train tracks are parallel, right? But if you get down and look at that train track, it looks like it converges and goes together in the distance, but it doesn't. That's just perspective. Rise up above it and you can see the actual thing. This empirically proves that the rays of light coming from the sun are parallel. You can't just hand wave away empirical stuff like this.
It's not empirical. That's like a 10-foot.
That's
long
literally
fence.
empirical.
You
I
need
don't think you know what empirical means, Bobby.
I do, but listen, you're not listening. You're using a very small sample size. That thing is so freaking small that, of course, maybe that one spot may be parallel. If you got something that's maybe, say, a mile long and you have parallel lines completely all the way across it, then yeah, but you won't because they're going to converge.
Why would a mile not be parallel if they're parallel?
Dude, that's like 10-foot section. That's like right
why
there.
Would answer the question? Why would a mile not be parallel if that I'd say that 20 meters there is parallel?
Because you're going to be able to tell that the shadows aren't all parallel.
But they are. You can see they are right there.
That's 10 foot. I don't take that. That's
your dismissal of evidence doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't exist, Bobby.
It's rigged. It's set up.
It's not rigged. It's showing that it's parallel. It's a simple empirical demonstration that even though something looks like it isn't parallel, it's not too small at all. It's actually pretty large. It's a simple demonstration that no matter, even if they look like they aren't parallel, simple perspective will change that and show you the true nature. It's as simple as that.
I'll tell you.
Right, it's exactly. Do you understand what I mean about the train tracks, Bobby? Train tracks are parallel, yes?
Yeah.
Right? But do they look, if you were to get down and look at the train track going into the distance, would it look parallel?
Vanishing point?
No, we're not talking about when it disappears, we're talking about would it look parallel?
Sure.
Right. No, so, sorry, you saying that if you got down and looked along, straight along the train track, you think it would still look parallel?
I mean, I haven't never done it. I was thinking I thought that's what you were telling me. So
I'm saying that it doesn't. It looks like the train track converges. Right? Yeah, but it doesn't. The train track never converges because, it's a parallel line. Two parallel lines. That's how train tracks work. So,
well, I'm not. We can keep harping on this, but I'm not going to take that as evidence because that's like maybe a 20-foot section at most, man. You're not going to be able to get anything.
Again, your dismissal of evidence doesn't stop evidence existing.
That's the only proof you have. That's one.
That's the only one I need. You don't have any evidence that the sun is close.
The first picture you showed proved it, man. You can see the point of the origin of the light. You can see
really? So you're saying that you can actually use that to triangulate the light, which would mean that the light is literally in the clouds. Bobby, that's not the case. Those clouds are relatively low. Pilots would have to avoid the sun.
I'm not saying it's that low, but I'm saying
your logic that you just said would say that it's that low because you just said that the rays of light point to where the sun is.
Low. It's inside. Like I would say it's in the lower. Was it lowest? Lower orbit.
Orbits can only happen on spheres.
Low Earth orbit. I would say it's like right above low Earth orbit.
Well,
I don't know. That's what I'm assuming.
Orbits can only happen on spheres. You can't have an orbit on a flat plane.
Well, you can't have an atmosphere and a freaking vacuum at the same time, too. So.
We don't have an atmosphere in a vacuum. That's a nice straw man.
Well, you have an atmosphere, don't you?
Yes, of course we do, yeah.
Then is it connected to a vacuum?
No, it's not connected to a vacuum. That's a straw man.
Okay, well, so it lives side by side by a vacuum, right?
No, it doesn't, no. That's not how it works.
Then how's it contained, though?
Gravity is how it's contained, but you don't understand what the atmosphere is. So we have, at sea level, an atmosphere with a pressure of 14.7 psi, right? Just above that, there's atmosphere with a pressure of 14.69 psi. And it goes on and goes on until you get to, say, the top of Everest, where you've got an atmosphere of about 6 psi. Then it keeps going, 5 psi, 4 psi, 1 psi, 0.5 psi, 10 to the negative 17 psi. You know, there's no point where it's an atmosphere connected to a vacuum. It's just a pressure gradient to an extremely low pressure area.
And so how does a vacuum exist next to that?
There is no vacuum. Space is a low pressure area.
Oh, okay. So it's not a vacuum anymore?
Space has never been a vacuum. That is referred to colloquially as the vacuum of space, but there is things in space, you know, planets, meteors, hydrogen. So therefore, it is not a vacuum. It is an extremely low pressure area. Even in intergalactic space, there's hydrogen atoms every few square miles. Space is not a vacuum. It's an extremely low pressure area.
Okay.
So,
well,
you know,
I'm pretty sure it's a vacuum it's supposed to be on the outside.
I literally just told you it's not.
I mean, this is the first time I ever heard you say that it's not the vacuum. Anybody ever say, well, space isn't a vacuum. It's low.
With all due respect, it's quite clear you never studied physics at anything higher than high school then.
Sure.
Right.
So,
in engineering, a vacuum can be referred to. Hold on, Bobby. Let me give you some technical terms. In engineering, a vacuum can be referred to as anything that is a lower pressure than something else, because it creates a differential that creates pressure to move stuff, right? But that's just, you know, the name of something that they give to explain it. A perfect vacuum, something with nothing in, doesn't exist in nature. There's no such thing as a perfect vacuum. It's a theoretical thing, right? You can
vacuum when you use the straw to drink a drink.
Yeah. So do you know what's actually happening? Do you know what's actually happening when you do that, right? So
you just make a vacuum.
What you're doing is you're removing the air from the straw, which makes the pressure of the atmosphere push more stuff into the straw, right? That's what happens because vacuums don't suck. That's not how it works. You know, high pressure tends to move to low pressure in the absence of other forces. And so that a straw works by there being a pressure differential, not by it sucking up, but by the atmosphere pushing on the fluid to make it go into the straw. That's how sucking on a straw works. It's the same with a vacuum that you use to vacuum your house, right? It's not literally sucking, it's creating a differential that the atmosphere is pushing into. Right? That's the technicalities of how vacuums work. But space, no, it's not a perfect vacuum. It's just a low pressure area. There's, you know, we have higher pressure here, and there's a gradient, and it goes to low pressure. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. It's like how can the atmosphere exist right next to a void then? A void of space.
Well, it exists next to a lower pressure just because of gravity. There's a force acting on the molecules, right? So you think about this the wrong way. So imagine space as a big empty void, okay? And there's a cloud of gas in this void, all right? That's not going to go anywhere unless there's a force moving that cloud of gas. The Earth, because it's so large, creates a gravitational force that holds that gas to it. There's nothing else creating a force to move it away from the Earth. The Earth is the only thing generating a force of any kind to make things move towards it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right, so gravity, which is something, again, that's been empirically measured, probably millions of times, is what's giving us. I've personally measured gravity, so you can.
You can't measure gravity.
I've personally measured gravity, so you can.
Okay, how did you personally measure gravity?
Using a torsion bar experiment. I derived the gravitational constant from my own data, the same as Blue Marble Science did with his Cavendish experiment, which now exists in a university. The same that BM Furble did when he used his flat in Korea when he was on military deployment out there to build his own Cavendish there. Something that all physics students do in their first year at university is build an experiment similar to Cavendish and derive the gravitational constant from their own data. It's quite, I wouldn't say easy, but something that is simple enough to do with the right knowledge. But it's not the only way to measure gravity. There's lots of ways.
Yeah, but how are you using the Cavendish experiment to prove gravity?
It measures gravity. Yeah, it measures the attractive force generated by gravity.
Okay, so how does it measure gravity?
Do you understand what the Cavendish experiment is? Or do I have to explain the actual methodology of it?
I know what the Cavendish is.
Right, so it shows that there's an attractive force between masses by showing that there's a torque added onto the wire when the distance between the masses is reduced, which is an empirical demonstration of Fg equals G m1 m2 over r squared. You can then measure the deflection of the torsion bar with the smaller mass towards the larger mass, and calculate that, measure that deflection based on the mass and the distances of the masses between the masses, and from that data you can actually calculate the gravitational constant, which is something that I did, and something that Blue Marble did, and something that BM Furble did, and something that every first year physics student does.
How long did you let the experiment run before you start recording your evidence?
Well, the main thing you need to do is to have it completely still. So, for instance, when I did mine, it was actually in the chiller of the restaurant that the university had, and then we left it overnight to steady before we then introduced the masses, and then we. There's an instant reaction. As soon as you move the masses towards each other, the deflection is instant. But because it's free swinging, hold on. Because it's free swinging, obviously that deflection continues and it swings back and forward for a bit. So then you need to let it rest again and then measure the deflection from before the masses were introduced to each other. And then you can see that the torsion bar actually deflects based on how close the masses are to each other.
So how did you get it to come to rest?
You just leave it for a long time.
And so you had that part recorded where it was at rest for. So how does it become at rest for a long time if it's just naturally it's attractive?
Because once the attractive force has moved the torsion bar, it will stay at a certain point. You'll have friction from the air, resistance of the wire itself, which will overcome the deflection. So you measure the amount of deflection and compare it to everything that you've got. So once you move the masses closer together, the torsion bar moves and points towards the mass, right? So before you introduce the masses, you measure where it's pointing. And then after you introduce the masses and you let it settle for a couple of hours, you then measure where it's pointing again, and you've got a deflection of how much it's changed. And again, you can then use that with your data of the size of the masses and the distance between the masses before and after, and use that data to calculate the gravitational constant.
Okay. What I'm asking is, before you did any of that, before you introduced the larger body of masses, how long did it take you to get the beam to stay at rest?
Like I said, we left it overnight, and it was still in the morning.
So it was completely at rest. So you have it recorded for several hours being at rest before you introduced the other masses?
It was still when we got there. It wasn't moving.
But did you have any recorded of it? Do you have any recordings of it being still overnight?
We didn't
like
record
how long
it.
Was it
we didn't physically. We didn't record every step. This is just something that you do. But when we got there, it wasn't moving for hours. We checked on it at one
Did that
point.
record
We
it,
checked
though?
on it when we checked on it. Yes, we recorded all the data. Yes. But
So you had it
not with a
completely
camcorder, but we recorded all the data that I used to present as my, my coursework and stuff. So when we got in the morning, we went and looked at it and saw where it was, and then we checked on it hours later, and it is still completely exactly where it was. It was very still. Tried our best to not disturb it. But there was other students doing the experiments in other places in different methods. Some of them had it in a large vacuum chamber. Some had it in an area that was hot in furnaces. There was lots of different versions of the experiment going on at the same time. It's just how it happens.
Okay.
But it measures it. What it does is it matches the predictions of what should happen exactly, which is what you do with
let's
science.
Not go down that road. Look. Let's not go down that road. Predictions of what it should look.
But that's how you do science.
Let's look. Hold on. Look. When I ask you a question, I'm just trying to get a response so I can continue on. You stop me and you go on for about 10 minutes trying to explain something. I understand that. What I want to know is, when you got that bar at rest, whatever material we're using, it doesn't matter. Once you got that bar to stay at rest, you were just doing visual measurements on it to see if it looked like it was in the same spot.
Yeah, we had a window that we could see where the
From how
laser
far
was.
away?
Let me finish what I'm saying. We had a window that we could look through to see where the laser was pointing onto the sheet that we had on the wall. That window was maybe 6 meters away from the apparatus, but the bit that was recording the paper on the wall was about 50 centimeters away from the window that we looked through.
And how accurate is your visual measurement, you think?
Pretty accurate from that close. We could
Percentage-wise?
I couldn't give a percentage, but we could see that it was exactly on zero. We had it far enough away. It was far enough away. The measuring point was far enough away from the experiment that a very small deflection from the experiment would make quite a large deflection on where we were gathering the data. So we could see that it was on zero and hadn't deflected from zero. The dot was literally in the center of where the laser pointer was. So we could see that over hours it hadn't moved.
At what point, though? You said you only had to look at it. So how periodically did you check on it?
We checked on it a fair few times for hours.
Okay. And then you never had to go back in there and readjust it before you started doing your introducing the masses?
We did that on purpose. We didn't go back in there. We did everything through the door. We used a wireless thing to move to create the. We actually had a Lego Technic created connected to the wireless receiver that we had that could move the masses together. So we didn't even have to go in to move the masses. Just press a button and it happened. It was. Again, this is something that physics students are doing in university. So
listen, look. Before you go on a tangent, I'm just trying to finish a point here. Okay. I understand physics students are doing this and stuff, but unless you're showing me an uninterrupted loop of several hours of that bar and it being at rest and like
no, sorry, you don't get to generate your own standards of evidence. This isn't how that works.
But you're trying to come up with evidence that you can easily manipulate.
I don't care if you think it's manipulated. You do not get to generate your own standard of evidence. That is not how this works. You don't get to go, oh no, I want to see an uninterrupted video of that happening for hours and hours and hours. Otherwise, I'm not believing that that's the case. That's not how this works. I can present to you, in fact, I can present to you thousands of hours of uninterrupted recordings from several people around the world. Not specifically from my experiment that I did over 20 years ago in my physics degree. All right? But the fact is, no matter how many questions that you ask, every time this experiment is done, you can get the same result and calculate the gravitational constant to a pretty accurate, degree. And this is an empirical thing, all right? It's a fact. It happens.
What's your name again?
What's my name?
I said, what's your name again? I forgot. I'm sorry.
Just call me FTFE or Craig.
Craig, hey, look. Craig. I'm just telling you that you can easily manipulate that whole sequence.
So you're calling me a liar?
Okay. Was there... No, I'm just saying that you can manipulate it.
No. So if I manipulated it, you're calling me a liar. Are you calling me a liar?
You don't have the video evidence of it, do you?
No, because you don't record everything you do at university with video. Science does not require video recording for it to be science.
Did your rod have a
Are you
tendency
saying that I manipulated my data? Yes or no?
if you don't have everything presented, yeah, you altered the
Right.
result.
So you're calling me a liar. You're to my face right now. You're calling me a liar.
I'm not saying you're a liar. I'm just saying.
No, you are. You
do
literally
that.
calling me a liar because you just said that I manipulated my data.
I said you could easily have manipulated that.
But
Yes.
but I didn't. I calculated it from the data that I got. Right? I did the experiment myself, and I'm telling you right now, I did not manipulate the data. Don't you fucking dare call me a liar.
Okay. But do you have the evidence showing that it's at rest for a certain amount of time?
I'm telling you that it was. Not everything in science is recorded. I could probably find the fucking coursework that I did and show you the data, but you'd just go, oh, that's a bunch of numbers. Go to BM Furbal's channel on YouTube, and he has uninterrupted experiments on his Cavendish experiment that he built himself. Your denial and your skepticism about an experiment doesn't stop the fact that this experiment is done thousands of times every year, Bobby, and gets the same result. It is done and it works, and it is a perfect empirical demonstration of gravity. You cannot deny it.
Did your rod have like a shift? Did it have one side that I like to favor? Did it like lean towards the right?
Did my rod have what? Sorry?
Did it favor a direction? Did it like have tendency to spin towards the right?
It had a tendency to move towards the mass that was introduced, as the experiment would show.
Before your masses were introduced.
No, it pointed at zero.
So you put it up there and it just stayed still as soon as you hung it up.
Once I put it up, right, and you leave it hanging for a long time so that any twist in the wire is gone. And then once it's completely at rest, right, you adjust where the data point is pointing at, right, and then you leave it. And then you come back and check on it to make sure that it's still the same. And then you check on it again. Then you check on it again. And if it's still the same, it shows there's no air currents pushing it around or anything. All right? It was all, you questioning how I personally did the experiment is completely irrelevant to the fact that the experiment worked.
Well, I just want you to understand that there's several factors that you can introduce.
Yeah, and I took all these factors into account because I know how to do experiments. I took all of these factors into... Yes, it was an enclosed room. It was in what the restaurant was using as a chiller, but they were doing a refit and having new chillers, right? So all the fans and everything were turned off, and it's a room that is, it's got a door that is locked and only has airflow when the fans and everything are turned on inside. So, it was a very enclosed room with nothing disturbing it.
How did you introduce the masses?
I literally, did you not listen to what I said? We had a wireless receiver with Lego Technic motor pushing the masses together.
Okay, so there was a disturbance in that containment room as soon as you start moving the masses, though, right?
That's the point. What you do is you move the masses and then you leave it, right? Once the masses are introduced, everything then goes off, and then as soon as you introduce the masses, the torsion bar moves. And then it wiggles back and forward because it's moved. So then you leave it for hours again with the masses introduced, and you measure the deflection. Bobby, I've literally gone through the entire thing about 3 times now. What is your point here?
So once you introduce the masses, did you have to steady the bar again, make it come to at rest?
Did you not just listen to what I said? We leave it for hours. It's like the words that are coming out my mouth are just bouncing off your head.
I'm just trying to get you to hear what you're saying, though. So you
I just said that, and then you asked. But Bobby, I just said something, and then you asked the thing that I said.
Yeah, but you don't realize that you introduced a foreign mass to it. You added something.
That's what the Cavendish experiment is, you fucking muppet. Jesus, that's how you do the Cavendish experiment.
Okay, so then you get a certain result that you want. I'm just telling you, dude. That's not.
Because you're matching a prediction. You predict that when you introduce the masses, you will get a deflection because that's what gravity says should happen. Right? The question is, Bobby, why does that deflection happen? Why does that deflection happen, and why does that deflection stay if gravity isn't a thing?
It's not gravity. You sitting there with this thing hanging. Why was it moving before you introduced the masses?
It wasn't moving before I introduced the mass. That's what I'm saying. It was still. Are the words bouncing off of your fucking forehead?
Out of all these experiments, every time I see them try them, dude, you have to be extremely patient. Try for hours.
Yes, you do have to be extremely patient. As I've explained, it takes hours and hours to do. Bobby, seriously, you're not listening to the things I'm saying. I'm saying something, and then you're asking the thing that I'm saying like I haven't said it. This is how the Cavendish experiment is done. You introduce a larger mass towards your smaller mass on the end of the torsion bar, and you measure the deflection due to the gravitational force.
Yeah. Just saying, man, it's easy to manipulate that.
So you're calling me a liar?
You're
calling every physics student in the world a liar. You're calling BM Furball a liar. Calling Blue Marble Science a liar. That's your answer is that we've manipulated it. Fuck you, Bobby. I'm not a liar.
No, what I'm saying is the Cavendish experiment itself is set up to get the result that it wants, dude.
The Cavendish experiment is set up to test a prediction because that's what experiments are.
It will tell you, dude. It don't matter what you're using, what's going on. It's not gravity, dude. It's electro.
So what is it then?
Energy attracts matter. That's what it is.
So it's specifically what force is causing the masses to move towards each other?
Electromagnetism and electricity.
So why does it get the exact same result regardless of the material? Because that debunks what you've just said.
I can show you a link, dude. If it forms a tube, it can form a freaking...
No, Bobby, listen to the words coming out of my mouth, all right? The fact that you can use different materials for the experiment and get the same result debunks your assertion of it being any kind of electromagnetism. You understand that, right? That different materials will give you a different result if it's electromagnetism. Do you understand that?
No. Energy attracts matter. That's it.
Yeah. But, no, you didn't say energy, right? You said electromagnetism. Specifically.
I said electromagnetism and energy.
No, you said electromagnetism and electricity, actually.
Electricity, energy, I'm sorry, the same thing.
But what energy? Specifically, what energy?
I don't know. It's,
So you're just making shit up?
No, I'm not just making shit up.
Yeah, you are.
I can show you where a guy does an experiment and show you that he recreates the Cavendish experiment using fluid and a magnetic field, pulling them together. It's the same reason you talk about electromagnetism and gravity and how your veins are made, how roots are made.
Okay.
Telling you.
Okay. So you can use any material you want, and you still get the same result. That means it is not any kind of electromagnetism. That means there is no. Bobby, if it was different materials, wood reacts different to metal. If you're talking about electromagnetism, right? Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the Cavendish experiment can be done with wood. The Cavendish experiment can be done with metal, and you get the same result. Meaning, it is not electromagnetism. Otherwise, you would get different results. Do you understand that? You still there? Did I blow his mind? Jesus Christ, this is painful. Bobby! We'll give him a chance to refresh. Right, he's left. I guess he'll come back in a sec. It's not gravity, even though it matches the predictions of gravity. Oh, guys, 500 plus of you here already. Awesome. Oh, hey, Bobby, you're back.
Yeah. There, you got me now?
Yeah. You good?
All right. Start messing up on me. Yeah, hold on.
Right. Okay. Right. So, it's very simple. It cannot be any kind of electromagnetism that is causing this experiment, because you can do the experiment with wood, you can do it with metal, you can do it with any material, and you get the same result. If it was electromagnetism, you would get different results with different materials. That debunks your theory. It's as simple as that.
It won't let me load up my clip, man. I can't load my clip. So
Now, I'm sure that somebody could replicate the results of the Cavendish experiment if they did a specific thing with a specific fluid and stuff. You could do something that was very similar, but that doesn't stop the Cavendish experiment itself
No, it was
being
showing you
done
that
in any environment with any material, showing the same results all over the world, the millions of times that it's done. Right? And that's what's important, is how science is done. In science, you have a hypothesis, and from that hypothesis you make a prediction. To test that prediction, you design an experiment. And that's what the Cavendish is. It's a designed experiment to test the prediction of gravity. And you find that it matches the predictions. Otherwise, gravity would have been disproven. But every time the Cavendish experiment is done, you get the same result.
Okay, I'm just telling you, this guy, I got something right here. He goes, the Cavendish experiment, he recreates them with fluid and a magnetic field. It shows that he's taking two lines and he's pulling them together to form.
That's not the Cavendish experiment, though. The Cavendish experiment.
It's showing you that energy. It's showing you that it's due to electromagnetism and electricity, not gravity, and that energy attracts matter. It's like,
but that's not the Cavendish experiment. What you just described.
Yes, it does. It says to just show it works on all things. Gravity is speed, or gravity measure is speed.
But no, what you just described, Bobby, with fluid and stuff, that's not a Cavendish experiment. Cavendish experiments are not done in fluid.
He's showing you, visually showing you that energy attracts matter through electromagnetism and electricity. He's using that in the fluid to show you that it's doing the same thing that you're claiming that the Cavendish is doing. That's not gravity.
Yeah, okay, but he is not doing a Cavendish experiment. He's doing something completely different. And in certain mediums, electromagnetism can alter the medium. That's not the Cavendish. You can't debunk the Cavendish experiment by not doing the Cavendish. Hold on, Bobby. No, hold on. Hold on, Bobby. Hold on. You cannot debunk the Cavendish experiment by not doing the Cavendish experiment. He hasn't done the Cavendish experiment. He's done something completely different with electromagnetism. That doesn't debunk. That doesn't. Hold on. That doesn't debunk the millions of Cavendish experiments that are done with different materials getting the same results. It doesn't debunk it in any way.
What's the criteria that he gave to do the Cavendish experiment?
That it be a torsion balance with masses being introduced. It could be any material.
No, what material is stated in the Cavendish experiment?
In the specific experiment that Cavendish did, it was lead, but you can do the experiment with any material.
Where does it say to do that? It says to recreate.
Science says that you can do it with any material because the predictions of gravity is that it will happen with any material.
It says you can use this during when he's saying how to recreate it. He says you can use any material you want. No, he says use this material. Yes or no?
No, Cavendish does not tell you what material to use. He doesn't give instructions of how to do the experiment.
Yes, he does. There's instructions of how to recreate the Cavendish experiment.
Cavendish did not write instructions of how to recreate the Cavendish experiment. Anyone can recreate the Cavendish. The Cavendish experiment is just a methodology. The Cavendish experiment is just a methodology to test a prediction, right? You can do it with Bobby, why'd you keep over talking me? You can do it with any material. It doesn't matter. The predictions are, again, I'm still talking. You can do it with any materials because the predictions say that it will happen with any materials.
So the liquid's fine then because it's any material, right?
No, you can't just do it in liquid because the Cavendish experiment is not done in liquid.
You just said any material, yeah? Is liquid a material?
You're not the masses, not the medium that it's in. You can't change them. You can't like put it in liquid or some electroferromagnetic fluid with metal in and expect that to be the same as wood in air. Mm-hmm. That's not. He's not doing a Cavendish experiment. He's doing something else.
Well, you changed the materials when you did the Cavendish experiment, so...
Yeah, I'm still doing a torsion bar experiment that matches the predictions that Cavendish was using. That's the important point, is the predictions from the hypothesis. The predictions are that mass will attract mass, and we can do that with any material.
Really good, dude.
What?
Dude, you pulled hypothesis off. The way you said hypothesis, dude, was pin fucking point, man. That was great. That's a hard word to say. Especially in the middle of a...
Hypothesis. Dude, I'm a man of science. I've said hypothesis billions of times.
I was just saying you did it pretty slick. Rolled it right off the tongue.
Cool. I've got a vocabulary. That's something that happens.
Is it
Wait, are you really amazed that I said the word hypothesis?
No, I was just saying the way you said it. It was pretty slick.
Thank
I was
you.
just listening. I was listening to you.
Guess?
I was just listening to. I was listening to you go on your tangent, and then it's just come out.
There's no
flush. My
tangent.
bad, I
I'm
got
trying to answer your questions. What
I
you
know,
are
man, but it's
describing
kinda long.
is not any kind
It's
of
like
Cavendish
long
experiment,
form.
right? It's some kind of electromagnetic ferro medium experiment. It's not the Cavendish. You do the Cavendish experiment, and you get the same results every single time, regardless of the material. Not the medium it's in, the material of the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't
Just saying
debunk that.
the
It's
energy
simple.
attracts. Well, do you want to go? Do you want to move on to another point? Because I don't think we're getting anywhere with this one.
Yeah,
You wanna do
okay,
something
I've
else,
won
or
that
you
point, so that's fine.
I didn't see anything. I don't concede.
You don't need to
any
concede.
points, bro.
Facts
You
don't
have
need
all
your
the. You don't have.
facts don't need your
You don't-
agreement to be facts.
Well, you do need all the facts for the fact to be fact, bro. You
I have
can't
all the
give me
facts.
Part of the equation. You can't give me part of your observations and not all of it, and then be like, "Well, here it is."
I can give
present
you
to
all
I
of
have
my
it.
observation.
Show me, dude. Do it again. Do it again. Show that thing in a continuous feed constantly. Let it
Right
come
now,
to
in my
rest.
front room.
Put your freaking thing. Sure, man. You can do it.
In my front room right now with no equipment. Yeah, sure. Don't be a dick. Tell you what, go to Blue Marble Science. Go to BM Furbal's YouTube channel, and you can just watch the video of it there. Okay.
Okay. Let me go to your channel. Here. Go to this channel right here and go watch. This guy do
You're
this
asking where
experiment.
you can see it. Then I'm telling you where you can see a full uninterrupted thing that you want. Go to Blue Marble, BM Furbal's YouTube channel, and that's where you can watch it. Okay. It exists. Your ignorance and
Who
your
is that? Say it
denial
again, I
doesn't
didn't hear.
stop these things being real. I have personally measured gravity. I am not a liar. That is something that has happened.
Can't measure gravity.
Apart from the fact that I have measured gravity.
You can't measure gravity, dude.
No, apart from the fact that I have measured gravity. Stop lying, because I've done it.
You can't measure gravity.
Except I've done it. I've measured gravity. Stop being a dumbass.
You can't measure gravity.
I've measured gravity. Stop saying you can't do it when I've personally done it. You can't just deny science. You can't deny physics. It's something that is done all of the time, regardless of your ignorance. So,
What else? What do you want next?
well, you're the one that thinks the Earth is flat. So let's see the other best bits of evidence you've got.
No observable, measurable curvature of the Earth.
Except that you can literally measure the curvature of the Earth.
Okay. And what's your mathematical form for that?
Mathematical what? Sorry?
Form. What's your form? What's
My
your equation?
mathematical form. You know, that's not a thing, right?
Are you gonna take the piss out of everything I say, or are you gonna have a conversation? I told you
a
when we started
conversation.
talking.
I don't know what a mathematical form is. What are you asking for?
Okay. Your equation to measure the curvature of the Earth.
I don't have an equation. There's a methodology.
Okay, what's the methodology then?
You can ask surveyors.
Well, I'm asking you, bro.
I'm not a surveyor.
You know so you don't know what it is?
You can use a bunch of triangles from different elevation points and then measure the angles between the triangles, lay them all out flat, see what you get, and you find out that all the triangles have angles that are greater than 180 degrees, meaning that the surface of the Earth is curved.
And you can get a flat line off of a curve. Cool.
Yeah, that's
Cool
called a
story.
tangent.
No.
Yeah,
You
a
can't-
tangent is literally a flat line on a curve. That's what a
You
tangent
can't
is.
get a flat line curve. Anyway, so...
No, hold on. A tangent is a flat line to a curve. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, on a super small scale, dude. That's what I'm saying. You're not measuring at, like, that thing so small. You're telling me that.
You've
You've
been watching Nathan Oakley, haven't you? And he says that you can't get a flat line to a curve.
What did you say? You skipped that. I can't hear you.
You've been watching Nathan Oakley, haven't you?
haven't watched anybody.
All right. So I've just got a little video for you to watch, which will dismiss that stupid
hold on,
idea.
if you're gonna play a video, give me 2 seconds. I gotta cut this baseball game on for my wife. So give me 2 seconds, and you can run your video.
Okie dokie. Yeah, he's watching Nathan Oakley, but he won't admit it. How's everyone doing? Having a good night? Enjoying the dumpster fire? It just denies shit, right? Yeah, Requiem. I love it when flat earthers don't know calculus as well. Sacred Grove says, have patience, FTFE. Teach the world. Yeah, I like to teach the world. The world doesn't want to learn sometimes. Hey, Draco Fire. Nice to see you, dude. Roby, Captain Apache, Dave, Cernic, Tau Software, Obi-Wan, The Last Jedi, Tomato Priestess Sumi, my favourite Red Lantern. Beefy, BFEF says that he's doing it to wind me up. Just being a flurf, is that right? Joseph H says I should ask him basic physics and maths questions. That won't go anywhere, so there's no point. Can't get a flat line to a curve. I mean, no flurf has taken calculus. It blows my mind. 553 watching, guys. That is fucking incredible. But I only see 136 likes. Let's see if we can get that up. If we get that up to 400 likes, I will get naked. No, I'm not going to get naked, honest. But, you know. Hey, go to 400 likes. See what happens. Golden Knight says, look, QNF's sock account is in the chat. I wonder if he's figured out time zones yet. Yeah, he loves going on about QNF's Globe Challenge, which is easy to do, of course, but QNF can't even map anything out right. You know what I love most about QNF is that he deleted like 5 to 7 videos once I debunked him so hard that his ancestors felt it. Then he's gone and lying, saying that they were just joke videos. They were just joke videos to get my attention. Yeah, he doesn't know what UTC is. Go and laugh at him. Apparently my microphone's distorted. Is that right, guys? Is my microphone sounding distorted? I don't know why. My mic is a bit loud, apparently. I'll turn that down. Liz K thinks he's taking the piss, we'll see. Oh, I hear someone coming back. Well, I'll read out super chats at the end, guys. Just like normal. I don't know what's going on with my mic, guys. I may have to try and figure that out, because a couple of people have said in different shows that it's been acting weird. Litmus test. Yeah, we can do the litmus test, don't worry. Apparently when I get loud, it distorts. Let me see if I can take the gain down. I think the Flerfs got lost. Read a couple of super chats, so we're waiting for him, I guess. Colin, definitely not Cromwell, for $10 says, I don't know anyone here, but I love the content. I watched Simon Dan. Just wanted to drop in and say good work to you all. Have a great weekend. Thank you, Colin. That is very nice of you, sir. Mandel says, if I hit 400 likes, can we have female FTFE naked, please? Female FTFE. Might bring her back soon. She's hot, right? I'd do her. I don't know about you, but I definitely would. I mean, look at this. Look at female FTFE. You know you want it. Look at that face. Tim Tully for $5 says, Flat Earth is like a helicopter. I don't understand how a helicopter works either. Tim. Screwy Louie for £5 says, please ask the Flerf why the government hasn't permanently silenced all Flerfs. Because they totally would. Rob Hodge for $4.99 says, the nerd on the left's audio is too loud. That's me. It looks like it, right? I don't understand. Lord Goodness Pooh for $2 says, oh no, evidence, my only weakness. Hello, Richbot, who's been a member for 33 months, says, can you ask the Flerf, how do you rig shadows? Yes, it's rigged, apparently, guys, is the answer. Free one for $5. Shadows are rigged. Something tells me that the grade kindergarten was challenged for the guy. Eric Wood, $2. Those shadows are CGI. The only way. Female FTFE is the only way to respond to Matt Powell, says Robert AdSense. Inciter for 50 Donkey Kong dollars says, if FTFE, simple experiment, ask him to draw 2 parallel lines on a piece of paper and have him look at it from one end of the paper versus above the paper. That was my point with the train tracks, but it went over his head. Raven Zero, $2. Artemis is a go. We are going to the moon. Yes. All the Flerfs are going to scream CGI, CGI, CGI. I'll try and stay further away from my mic then. That seems to be working. P. Barnes, $5 Australian. Bobby was supposed to fix my misconceptions about flat earthers, not make them worse. Indie Tiger Sci-Fi Review for $10. There is so much hydrogen in outer space that the electron changing directions, which happens once every 22 million years, causes a constant radio hum. That's nice to know. Bobby, you're coming back. John Suffel says, female FTFE, I'm going to need therapy now. Here she is again. Gorgeous thing. Don't tell me you wouldn't. Hey, Bobby. There we go. All right, so we got up to Indie.
I got trying to do something for my wife, so
that's all right.
I got
nice.
just a little bit. I got to do something in a little bit.
It's okay.
But yeah. So what do you want to say, or what do you want to do?
So you were saying you can't measure curvature, and I'm pointing out that curvature has literally been measured by surveyors all the time. In fact, there's a surveyor in my chat that was just talking about the fact that they literally have to use spherical excess in their measurements because, you know, it works out to be more than a flat plane. So according to surveyors, the people that actually measure the surface of the Earth, the Earth is curved. And you could go to mctoon.net/r for a large list of those measurements.
Dude, I do construction work. I'm out there all the time with surveyors. There's a button to calculate for curvature, and they never use it. It's not needed.
In short distances with construction, probably not. But surveyors that are measuring the surface of the Earth literally take it into account. That's why they use spherical excess.
Surveyors don't measure miles and miles of Earth, bro.
Geodetic surveyors would very much disagree with you.
You know
that's literally their job.
Okay, so his job is to measure for miles, right?
Geodetic surveyors, yes, that's literally their jobs.
What job's he doing that's measuring miles, dude?
I work geodetic surveyor.
Job sites aren't that big, bro.
Geodetic surveyors literally measure the surface of the Earth for miles and miles and miles. Like across the entirety of the USA, for instance.
8 inches per mile squared.
It's not the correct equation for the curvature of the Earth.
That's the curvature that y'all gave to us.
No, it's not. That's not what we gave to you at all.
Yes,
don't. No.
Yes, it is.
That actually came from a flat earther. That came from a flat earther.
Yeah, because that's according to how big the Earth is. That's you have to have a drop off eventually.
No. Again, no, because 8 inches per mile squared.
What's the measurement? What's the measurement then?
H equals r times 1 minus cos A is how you calculate the curvature on a sphere.
Oh,
8 inches per mile squared
so what's the
is a parabola, right? And again, that came from a flat earther. In fact, the OG flat earther, Samuel Rowbotham, who misread a construction manual on leveling.
No.
Yes.
You know, they went back and then his Bedford level experiment still works, right? You know, it's still true.
Except the Bedford level experiment was literally debunked by Wallace like 2 years later. When he did it again, raised slightly above the surface of the water, removing some of the refraction, showing that there was curvature.
Refraction. Dude, refraction makes things show up lower too, man. So you have to do it every single day for like a year. And
refraction tends to lift things up. That's how it works.
Findings to be able to claim on several different times of the year and then claim refraction. You can't do it one day and be like, oh, well, we're refraction. Okay, you'd have to do it every single day for
that's
a year.
been done.
record
It's
your
been done
findings,
many,
and
many,
figure out
many,
what's
many
refracted,
times.
what's not
Refraction's been tested
refracted.
empirically. As long as we know the temperature and the barometric pressure, we can calculate what the refraction should be.
Yeah, and the atmosphere, and the time of day, and the time of month.
Again, all we need is the temperature and the barometric pressure. That's all we need.
No, you don't.
Yes,
No,
it
you
is.
don't, because it'll be different at different times of the day.
Yes, because at different times of the day, you will have different temperatures and different barometric pressures. You fuck nugget.
So it's the same. So how many times a day did he do it? How many times in that one day did he do it?
Again, if when you do it, at that point, you know the temperature and the barometric pressure, you can calculate the refraction at that point.
So how many times did he repeat the
Again,
test?
if you know the temperature and the barometric pressure at the time that you take the measurement, you can calculate what the refraction should be. You wouldn't need to do it at another time.
Yes, you would, because refraction.
Listen to the words coming out of my fucking mouth. If at the time of the measurement you know the temperature and the barometric pressure, at that specific time you can calculate exactly what the refraction should be. You do not need to do it multiple times.
You got to calculate the height. You've got to calculate the height of the sun. You got to calculate the temperature.
No, you do not need to calculate the height of the sun to calculate refraction.
For refraction, yes, you do.
No, who the fuck told you that?
It's simple, dude. It's logic.
Why would you have to calculate the height of the sun for atmospheric refraction?
Because it's going to change everything. Everything, dude. Everything changes refraction. Your magical word refraction has so many variables.
Nothing magical about it. It's an empirical thing that's been quantified. But why? Tell me specifically why you would need to measure the height of the sun to calculate the refractive index of a medium.
You have to measure everything. If you're going to claim refraction, you have to have every single thing.
I'm asking you a specific question. Listen to the specific question. Why would you need to calculate the... Listen, Bobby, you claimed something, and now I want you to... No, I'm talking right now. You said something, I want you to verify what you said. Why would you need to calculate the height of the sun to find out the refractive index of a medium? Please explain.
So you want me to answer your question?
Yes, I've just asked you to, yes.
No, you have to measure everything. You have to take everything into account for refraction, because if anything is different,
all you need is temperature and the barometric pressure, that's it.
Okay. Time
all
of
you
day,
need is the pressure and the temperature, and you can calculate the refraction. That's it.
You can't come off with refraction, but refraction. Okay.
All you need is listen to the words coming out of my mouth, Bobby. Listen to the words. All you need is temperature and barometric pressure, and you can calculate the refraction. Okay? You just claimed that you need to calculate the height of the sun. Please tell me specifically why the height of the sun is needed for the calculations of a refractive index of a medium. Go.
I just told you.
No, you didn't.
I said you have to measure everything. I don't know if you actually have to measure
everything.
The sun, but I'm saying,
so I have to measure the diameter of a tomato being eaten on a pizza in Italy to know the refractive index, do I?
Yeah, if you're going to claim refraction,
I do. Sorry, you just said yes, Bobby. You just said yes to the question of, do I have to know the diameter of a tomato being put on a pizza in Italy to find out the refractive index?
Refraction. Yeah. Because refraction.
Are you just being a dick on purpose, or what?
No, because all you're going to say is refraction, gravity, refraction, gravity.
Well, these things are empirically measured.
That's why I'm saying this whole conversation doesn't even work, dude. Because all you're going to say is
because you just deny evidence and empirical measurements. That's why it doesn't work, Bobby. Because you're a denialist, Bobby. Because you're a conspiracy theorist that doesn't care about evidence, Bobby.
Yeah, I do care about evidence.
No, you don't care about evidence because you've hand-waved away every bit of evidence that I've given you.
You didn't present any evidence. You said you measured gravity. You don't have gravity. You said the Cavendish experiment.
The Cavendish experiment measures gravity, and you cannot debunk it.
Easily manipulated. It's so easy to manipulate the Cavendish experiment.
So again, you're calling me a liar. No, I did not manipulate the Cavendish experiment. I did the experiment as per the predictions of my hypothesis. I'm sorry that you don't understand
you're
how science
telling me-
works.
If you're telling me you got your bar to stay still long enough before you can introduce the masses to it, you're
Hours and
bullshit. I'll
hours
tell you
and
that right
hours,
now.
Bobby. Yes, hours and hours and
Where's
hours.
the video? Where's the video? I can claim you're
Science
freaking
doesn't
Terry
need
Princess
videos,
for hours
Bobby.
and hours of the day, but I don't have a video evidence of it. You
So
gotta have
wait,
proof.
wait.
You gotta be
Are
able to
you
prove
claiming,
it.
Bobby? Shut up one sec. Are you claiming that it's not science or evidence unless there's a video?
I'm saying that you're trying to claim that it's proof of something.
No, I'm
and
not.
that
I'm saying
you're
it's
using it
evidence.
as
Science
evidence.
doesn't care about proof.
You're saying okay. Well, you're saying it's evidence in an argument.
Yes.
To work on your side as proof. So therefore, you should be able to have it completely observable without running that
and
camera
go to
for
BM
hours. show
Furbal's.
me that
Again, I
movie-
told you
that
where you
pic-
can see it. Go to BM Furbal's YouTube channel. It's there, the entire thing.
Sure. Let me go look at his. Make sure he don't doctor it and can adjust anything. I'm sure.
Yeah, or if you don't like that one, go to Blue Marble Sciences. Or any
Who's
of the
that?
hundreds of others you can find on YouTube.
Okay.
All right? Your denial of facts doesn't stop them being facts.
The fact that it's easily manipulated to get the.
I
result
did
that
not
you want.
manipulate it. Stop calling me a liar.
So it sat there for hours without.
Yes,
ever
it sat
moving
there for
before you put the
fucking
test.
hours. Why do I have to keep repeating myself? Yes, hours and hours and hours and hours. Yes.
And you never saw it move
No.
before you introduced the mask.
Absolutely
You.
not, no.
It never moved. But you
No.
watched it. What? You checked on it every couple hours.
I checked on it
You came in
loads
there
and
and
it
looked
didn't
at it?
move. And it
You
didn't
came in
move.
there and
Bobby,
looked
it
at it
didn't
for
move.
record?
Bobby, you fuck nugget, it didn't move. End of
You came in there,
discussion.
you looked at the board, you looked at it. You're like, yeah,
Like,
it
just
looks good.
because
Let's come back
you
another
don't know
time.
how
That's-
science works doesn't stop science being science.
That's not science, bro. You just came
It's
back and looked
exactly
at things
science.
every couple
It's
hours.
exactly
It
right.
wasn't-
Right, no. All right,
wasn't
now you will
previously
explain to me
observed.
exactly. Right, what you're going to do right now is tell me the 5 steps of the scientific method.
I'm not. I'm trying to. I've been telling you something for a minute. You're
No. Tell me the 5 steps of the scientific method. Otherwise, you do not get to say what science is.
Why I get to say what science is? What are you on about?
If you can tell me the 5 basic steps of the scientific method, then you're
I'm not
allowed to say
science.
what science says. Go on. What are the basic 5 steps
Oh,
of the
so I
scientific
have to
method?
be. So I have to be educated in what a scientist does to be able to fucking know. if
No,
the
this
Earth
is something you
round.
learn at high school. I'm assuming you went to high school, right?
Oh, okay. So this is something you know in high school. Okay, right.
Yeah. This is something you learn in high school. So
Okay.
what are the
So you
5
didn't like it?
basic steps in the scientific method that you would have learned at high school, Bobby?
Okay. When are you gonna answer my question first, though?
I've answered all of your questions.
No, you didn't. You got mad and started.
I've answered
hollering. Oh,
every single one of your questions, Bobby.
No, dude, because you don't have any evidence. You didn't.
Bobby,
record
I've
that-
answered
you didn't
every
record that
single
bar for
one of your
hours.
questions. Now you can answer my
You hung
question.
up a bar.
What are the 5 steps of the scientific method that you learned in
You
high
hung
school?
up a bar. You hung up a bar and you looked at it and you're like, oh, I don't think it moved yet. Let's come back in an hour. Come back, looked at it again. Oh, I don't think it moved. Let's introduce some large body of masses and let's see what happens. Oh, now it's moving and now it's moving.
What
You
are the
don't-
5
you don't
steps?
show any of that.
Yeah, Bobby, what are the 5 steps of the scientific method, Bobby? Do you know?
Where's the video?
There was no video.
Where's your
Science doesn't
where's
require
your
videos,
evidence?
but if you want to see a video, I've told you where to go and find the video. Now, answer my question,
you can
Bobby.
pass it.
What are the 5
So-
steps of the scientific method?
So you can pass a test just
Bobby,
by ocular ocular check.
Bobby, what are the 5 steps of the scientific method?
All right. So is that what you can do?
Do you not
You
know?
got- it's-
I'm
Yes,
asking you
observable,
one question. All I want is one
You are-
answer from you, Bobby.
Okay,
It's
you
one
come up-
question,
you come up
and
with
this
a
is what we're doing
hypothesis.
right now.
You
Is I'm
come up-
asking you this
you-
simple question about science, all right? So that I know
Yeah,
what level
okay.
you're at, so I know how much to dumb down the things that I am saying. Bobby, in high school, you learned the 5 basic steps of the scientific method. Could you please tell me what those are?
Sure. You
Go on,
you get your theory or whatever you want to talk about, your subject. You look at it, you test it, you observe it, you study it, you repeat it, and you do it all over again.
I'm guessing you failed science, right?
Probably. No, I didn't fail science.
I mean, 5 steps, Bobby. It's very, very simple. What's step
Oh, man,
1?
I
Let's
told you,
start at
that's
the
why I said
beginning.
if you wanna-
Let's start at the beginning, Bobby. What's step 1? Do you know?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
It's an observation. You observe something. Simple.
I said. Did I not just say that? Did I not say
Well,
that?
you said observe somewhere in there, but
Okay. You
so
observe
that's
it,
step
you
one.
write it down,
You
talk
observe
about
something,
it,
all right?
discuss it, review it.
And then
you test
wait.
you
Hold on.
observe it,
Stop,
you
Bobby.
review
Stop, Bobby.
review it.
Stop. Right?
This is what I was talking about. This is why I talked
Right.
to you before we started going on, dude. You just
Yeah.
want to be a fucking
We're
dick
trying to
and
go
just
through it
go on
step by
and be
step.
like,
You
oh,
need to just
don't know
work
this,
with me
you don't
here,
know that. Oh, what's
Bobby.
this? Oh, it's
You need to
easy,
work
simple,
with me
what you learn
here,
in high school.
Bobby. Just work with me
No,
here, right?
dude,
So
because
step
listen,
one.
no, because
Step
all
one
you're
is
doing
make an
all you're doing
observation.
is shouting off.
Bobby, come on,
All
dude.
you're doing is talking over me, and you're not
Because I'm
responding
trying to
anything
do
when I
something,
say
and you
anything,
won't stop
and you
talking.
just shout me down. Are you
Bobby.
just going to win an argument just shouting people down?
So we're
Craig?
trying. I'm trying to have a
Craig?
conversation with you here, right?
Craig?
So we've got step
Craig?
one.
No, you're
right?
not, dude. You're not trying to have a conversation.
I'm trying to have a conversation with you, Bobby. We've got step one. Right, we've done step one,
dude,
Bobby.
you ain't
Bobby,
answered
we've
one
done.
question.
Shut the fuck
You ain't
up.
answered
We've
the
done
first
step one.
question.
Bobby, we've
No,
done step
you
one.
talked over me this entire time, dude.
No, I
If we
haven't. I've
count
let
the
you
time out of how
talk
many
when it's time for
people
you to talk. Now I'm
for the
asking you a
entire
question.
time. No,
If you can't
no,
answer a
dude.
question, then
No,
you
dude.
lose.
You just come on here and you fucking bully and talk over people and try to act like you're freaking intelligent, dude. You're
I
just
am
shouting over
intelligent
somebody
and you're a
and pulling
moron,
the
but I'm
conversation.
trying to
You're
help
not
you
proving
here.
anything.
I'm
Huh?
trying to help you here,
No,
Bobby.
I'm sorry, you broke up. I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I'm trying
No,
to help
what'd
you
say
here,
before that? I
Bobby.
didn't hear you. You broke up. No, what'd
So-
you say before that?
I'm just going to
What was
mute
it?
you.
What'd you say?
Right, so Bobby, step one in the scientific method is to make an observation. All right, so I think he's done having a debate because he's just being a twat at this point. So he doesn't like evidence. He doesn't understand experiments or science. He clearly never finished high school. And you look at that face. That's the face of a fucking idiot. So what we're going to do is we're going to let him sit there and be an idiot while we read the super chats. Yeah, look at the fucking idiot. Look at the idiot. He doesn't know how conversations work. Look at him. Yeah, so we're going to let him babble away whilst we read the rest of the super chats. Windbreaker for 50 Nokias says, thank you for the $1 million. Now I'm confused. What? Yeah, so he rage quit. Oh, what a fucking loser. Sorry, he's just being a dick right now. You can come back if you behave. He says I didn't answer a single question. I answered every single one of his questions. I answered every one of your questions, but you refuse to listen. What a loser. This is Flat Earth, guys. This is Flat Earth. And this is what they deserve to be treated like, honestly. Penis of a guy, basically. Lord Luminous Poo for $5. If you want to see hours of uninterrupted footage of it sitting there, do the experiment, record it. Like a Nike says, just do it. Yeah, because it's not science unless it's recorded on video, guys. Colin, definitely not Cromwell, for $10. Thank you very much. My first live FTFE, please take a breath. I see your videos all the time, but this guy doesn't require your anger. You're turning people off. Nah, I think people like it when I get angry like that. Lol what for $5? You can lead a Flerf to water, but you can't make them think. Nuh-uh. Oh, Megan Satana says, I didn't answer the assertions. The way that he wanted was the problem. Lol, just read that one. Kalina's agility partner for $2. Has Bobby done the Cavendish experiment? No, Bobby's never done any experiment, apart from how much meth he can snort in 1 minute, I guess. I don't know, do you snort meth? Lord Illuminous Poo for $2 says, Zoomies yellow, I'm the Red Lantern of Earth Sector. You're going to have to fight, because Zoomy tells me he's a Red Lantern. Marty Mad Scientist, $5 says, this is a nerd baiter, trying to get a chubby by triggering smart folk. Well, whatever floats his boat, I guess. Cody Payne for $5, if he just said you can't measure gravity one more time, I might have converted to flat Earth. You can't measure gravity. Here's all the measurements of gravity. You can't measure gravity. Go here. Find the measurement of gravity. You can't measure gravity. Fucking dick. Mr. E-Man, $5 Australian. The observations map the prediction so the Earth is flat because of magic interference that has never been recorded or predicted. Indie Tiger Sci-Fi Review for $5. I'm a professional engineer. Now I know he's a Poe. Highways are still being built in the US that are miles of surveyed topography. Yeah, apparently surveyors don't measure for miles. Tim Pryor, $5. I love how he claims he does not watch YouTube videos when we all know that's where he got his flat Earth idea from. He's clearly a Nathan Oakleyite. Albeus UA, $5 says, please ask him what education he has and does he use only his common sense because I'm honestly surprised that he functions in life. Yep, sorry, I misgendered you, Tomato Priest. I do apologise. That just came out. I didn't mean to do that. You're a lantern. That's the important part. Massive sorry. You know, I did not mean to do that. Beef for £5. If you could bring objects back that have gone over the horizon, you could zoom night into day with a P900. Time travel confirmed. Tim Pryor, $5. Tell him until he can name one field of science or any scientist that agrees with him, then he should not even say the word science. Yeah, he doesn't know science at all. Albeus UA for $5 says, please tell him he's embarrassing himself in front of 500 people. What a toddler. I bet I know who he voted for. Politics! I don't do that. Rachbot, my favourite bot, says for $5 says, all hail Craig, Flerf Destroyer. All hail Craig. All hail Craig. Yeah. Naz Hussein, member from 19 Months, says, this is plain Victorian freak show level cruel. And Draco Paul, to finish it off for $5 says, he rage quit. I'm so sad. Now we will not see his derailed numerical trigonometry that measures the altitude of the sun using crepuscular rays. What that meant was he's a fucking idiot. Guys, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I had fun talking to a fucking moron who just denies. Scotty McDougall, member for 3 months, says, I've only just tuned in on a level of 1 to 10. How much stupid did I miss? All of it, Scotty. All of the stupid. Guys, you've been amazing. Thank you very much for watching. Holy sheep shit. Don't worry, QNF's video will be done when I decide to get it done. But you are QNF, so that's fine. Thank you everyone for watching. You are amazing. Remember, like the stream. Please share the video with your friends and even your enemies. I will see you tomorrow for a debate short and then Monday for an episode of Flerfs Idiots. Remember, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat Earth. Fight the flat. 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 Good night, guys. Thanks very much. Fight the flat. Love you all. Fight the flat. 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 Fight the flat.